All right, so this is Unit 4, Part 2, playing in the blues style, where we take the 12-bar blues progression that you have learned and practiced, and we add a little bit more to it to make it sound a little bit more bluesy. The steps in this lesson are a little bit difficult. These are going to take a little bit of practice, so you might want to, instead of watching the whole video at once, watch little sections of it, pause the video, try it on your guitar, and start to put things together here. We are in your method book on page 80, and I want you to start at the very top of the page. It says adding notes to the blues progression. So that E progression 12-bar blues pattern, E, A, E, B7, A, E, and then you put your blues strum to it, and you learn that little turnaround. Now we are going to make this even fancier by doing what is called adding notes to the blues progression, or sometimes called the traveling pinky. We're going to make it sound a lot more bluesy. Instead of playing at the beginning of the progression one measure of E, where it's 4 strums of the E chord, we're going to instead change it to E, E6, E7, E6. So each beat is a different chord. Each blues strum is a different chord. Your 3 fingers for the E chord aren't changing, but what you're going to do is be moving and adding your pinky around. Okay, and I'm going to get that a little bit closer so you can see it. So it starts with E, where your pinky's up. Then you add your pinky down to the very bottom of the 2nd fret on the 2nd string, and you can use your chord diagram on page 80. That's E6. Your pinky's going to slide up to the 3rd fret for E7 and then slide back. And then you start to speed it up. That's the traveling pinky for the E chord. Hear how bluesy that sounds? So now you're going to do 4 bars of the E chord, but you're going to use that blues pinky. So it's going to sound like measure 3, measure 4. Now when you move to the A chord, you're going to do the same thing. We're going to add that traveling pinky down, but this time you're going to be adding your pinky to the 1st string. Okay? So it's A chord with your pinky up, A6, you're going to put your pinky down on 1st string, 2nd fret. For A7, you're going to shift your pinky up. We know another way to make the A7 chord, but I want you to use this one because you just will get in the habit of just moving that pinky really quickly and you won't have to think about it so much. And then back to A6. And then you'll go back to your E and do the same thing again with the traveling pinky. When you get to the B7 part of the chord, you guys know that the B7 chord uses 4 fingers already, so your pinky's already down. So if you look on page 80 in your book at those chord diagrams, we're going to go B7 with our pinky already down on the 2nd fret. We're going to shift our pinky up, 1st string, 3rd fret, to play a chord that's called B7 sharp 5. And you're going to do that twice. 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret. And then you go to your A and back to E. Okay. This traveling pinky takes practice, but once you get it down, you actually don't even really need to think about it much. It's just this up, down, shift, back movement of your pinky. Okay, kind of like pinky push-ups. Practice that a few times, okay? And then, after you've got that down, you're going to go on to the next step of the blues style, which is called the ending pattern. And this is going to take up the last 2 measures at the very end of your blues performance, okay? And you'll see it down in the box on page 80. Okay. You're going to use a movable D chord. And then finish on E. Let me show you that one more time, but then definitely use the diagram in your book. It'll be really clear. It's how cool does that sound? And it's just this really simple D chord that moves up the neck. Okay. Lastly, and again, you should pause the video here and practice all that. But when you're ready, the last part of the blues pattern is called a hammer-on. And it gives you, the book gives you a really good written description of how to do the blues hammer-on page 81. So you should definitely read through that, okay? But let me show you how to do it as well. So here's the E chord. You're doing this blues strum, right? Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. The first thing you're going to do is cut out the first down strum. So you're actually going to start with an up strum. It's going to sound like this. You see how I'm just skipping the strings? And 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Okay. The next step, this is step 3 on page 81, you're going to make the end of beat 4, you're going to lift up your E chord. So it's going to sound like this. 2 and 3 and 4. Like that. Okay. The last step is to add the hammer-on. And a hammer-on is when you just hit your fingers against the strings so hard that they make a sound. Okay. And so you're going to add that on the rest on beat 1. So it becomes hear that? It's really, really quiet. It's a subtle thing. It's not a loud thing, but it really adds a cool bluesy feel. So if you're up for the challenge, you should definitely give that a try. At the bottom of page 81, look at this, bold caps. This is not a simple pattern, so be patient with yourself. It takes a lot of practice. Don't try and do everything all at once. Go through all the little steps and keep adding and adding and adding to it. When you're ready, you're going to take a quiz and you're going to play for me your 12-bar blues progression. However, you don't have to have all the elements in there. What I need to hear is the 12-bar blues pattern twice through with the blues strum, the down, up, with the turnaround and the added notes, the traveling pinky. And that'll take some practice, but I think everyone can do that. The ending pattern and the hammer-on are optional. So if you want to go for some extra credit, if you want to go for an extra challenge, I would say definitely learn those two because they sound really, really cool. But if you're really struggling adding those last things in, it's a lot to think about. You can just stop after the traveling pinky. Okay? So you'll take a quiz, you'll play it for me, and then when you're ready, you will perform your blues pattern for the class. Have fun. Let me know if you need help.